Bets, online betting for every esports fan. Dota 2 and Hearthstone, CSGO and Overwatch, StarCraft 2, the choice is yours. Express bets for multiple matches or live bets on the game you are watching right now. Know your way around Dota 2? Make a prediction for picks and bans. Playing CSGO? Guess the number of rounds in a certain match. Daily quests for all participants and all the best choice of payment systems. More than 600,000 users have already made their bets on the spectacular matches since 2011. EGB.com. You know for sure who's gonna win.
Welcome back to the Starladder iLeague StarSeries Season 3. We are going into what is map number 2, maybe the final map. May not be the way that the last one just went, but it will be Heroic winning their pick. Of course, I am joined by Scrawny once again. And, well, which way do you think this is going? I'm throwing you under the bus early on.
Alright. Work well under pressure. I'm going to say that aTTaX actually bring this into the third map. Just because that first map on Nuke was very back and forth. There were a spree of victories from both teams. The early on T sides just seemed a little bit more difficult, however, and ultimately there was, just all these close rounds going back and forth. So I think it's too hard to really tell. I'm going to give it their edge just because, of course, it was their pick. Heroic have played this map, so they should be comfortable, as was Alternate on Nuke. But I'd prefer just watching a third map so that this series can continue.
Well, yeah, just to be a pain, I'm going to go with Heroic. Just I would just go against you just for the fun of it, and it means I don't really have to say why. Of course, I think going into this one, obviously, having a new player in, I think Nuke is one of the harder maps to adapt to, so I think with Yugi being added into Mirage, obviously, if he can play that rotational walk role, I'm going to be pretty excited to see how he plays off of that, and if he's on point, then I don't think there's much that Alternate aTTaX can do. The problem is, they do have Searson who AWPs on this map. I just don't think he's quite as good. I think he's a good AWPer, I just don't think he's as good as Yugi, and if he's on fire, hey, if he could drop 30-odd frags in Nuke on Mirage, yeah, should be at least 40, right?
You'd think. Sounds like solid science. But you're actually, that's actually a really good narrative to bring up. You're right. We did see Yugi have the heaviest of impacts throughout the players on Heroic. You can't take anything away from Nico. You can't take anything away from Madi or Valde as well. Or excuse me, Madi or Snappy. Those three players still put up numbers, but Yugi was leading the charge. And like you said, this is a much more comfortable map for an AWP player, especially a dedicated one along the lines of Yugi. So if he is able to use that rotation properly and kind of play between window and jungle, he can bolster that defense over towards the A site, and then it'll really just be down to how Heroic play out on B. Alternate aTTaX, though, consequently, could also just try to give up that op play and just go for more of a rifle trading system where you've got your players pushing out as a unit, where you use those trade fags in the engagements and ultimately just give up on the dueling versus a guy like Yugi, who quite clearly today has shown up to play.
Yeah, no, I actually do agree. Like, that is actually something they tried. They tried to do that, I think it was yesterday when they played Mirage versus the guys from Fnatic, but it didn't quite work out the way they wanted it to, so they did actually switch over to an AWP, and that was when they started playing the better Counter-Strike. The thing is, Searson really was actually very, very good with that AWP. The only thing is, like, although I really like the Fnatic Academy, I don't think there's anyone quite on the level of Yugi with the AWP. So we'll see if that's the case again. I do actually think I've got someone with a gun missing, so I'm going to reconnect to the server, and to cover that, of course, I'm just going to mysteriously bring up the group, and nobody will question anything. It does help if you don't say that out loud, though.
Sleight of hand, Tom. Very, very sly.
Obviously, nothing happening in the game as of yet. We will be going in relatively shortly. The night should be getting underway, hopefully very soon. You guys have been in the server a little while now, and, oh, look. Everything is mysteriously fixed. We're back in the game, but as we're still in the warm-up, I'm quite intrigued. I haven't heard anything otherwise. Should be the knife by now, so I wonder if somebody's got a little bit of a technical problem. The coach has just gone walkabout, something of the sort. But we are just going to be sat waiting. Of course, we can talk about the idea. We mentioned it earlier, but the impact that this game will have on the group. Now, if both of the remaining teams beat Alternate aTTaX, we have a three-way tie, and it will go down to map difference. If we see alternate aTTaX win both, they will get on to 6 points, and it'll be them and Fnatic Academy going through. If one of the teams beats them, and then alternate aTTaX beats the other, it'll be the team that beats them that goes through, so obviously either Heroic or Vega. So it is still a very open group. We've seen that all the way through. There hasn't really been a dominant performance. We had one group where everybody had a win and a loss, which meant all the the last 2 games decided everything. That was Group B. But we are now in. It is going to be the knife round, not the pistol. Just want to clarify that now. And we are going to see who gets to choose probably the CT side, but we have seen some of these teams stir up some pretty big numbers on the T side as of recent, at least.
Interesting. Alternate looking like they're about to get their pick. So you want to start off with the T side, you want to set the pace of the game, or they want to get that counter-terrorist defense half out of the way first? I'm always one for starting T side. How do you feel about that, Tom?
And I actually prefer playing T-side of Mirage, like, personally, but then I am actually very, very bad at Counter-Strike, so it's kind of like weighing it up. Like, let's be honest, if you can't play, you cast. That's normally the way to go. And then, I suppose if you can't cast... I don't want to say... I was going to say you admin, but then I feel like I might about to get fired by Starladder. So, admin is obviously the most important, and I love them all. Please don't hurt me, no Nick, if you are watching.
Madi for the side of Heroic going to have a heavy bit of utility into this round. Smoke already thrown on out. And Valde and Nico actually boosting quite interesting over here towards top mid. It might net them a frag. Crisby peeks it though. He will find the first and the second. That's the bomb to go down. A cheeky boost I had never seen, Tom, and I will probably never see again because it didn't work out whatsoever. They get demolished, and Crisby is still looking for more engagements here as Snappy is trying to retrieve the device. This pistol round's been shut out, and it's all at the hands of Crisby. 2 more players round the corner. Oskrish is going to take one. Yugi finding a bit of a trade, but it's a little too too late. He will be boxed in upon and ultimately fragged. Alternate aTTaX find the pistol.
Yeah, no, nice start. We'll see if they can actually convert it this time. That will be the interesting fact. Obviously, Heroic doing very, very well with these pistols so far. I'm not going to be surprised at all when they buy out these weapons in just a moment. Yugi, not going to go for any armor, so he is saving for that AWP. Not overly surprised by that at all. And good to see that he's doing that early on. Obviously, they didn't have it too often when they were going through the sort of forced buy saga of the early round scenarios. And that was ultimately what let down their CT side at the beginning of the last map.
Armor Tech 9's on the board, but no nades for Heroic left to play. They're just going to try to strong arm their way into the bomb site. Oskrish is going to get pressured here, but he's got the help of ECFN. 1 frag found before Yugi takes the trade yet again off of the CZ. His entries have been crisp, but so is Crisby. Finds 1 frag. Valde gonna bring it back, but the bomb's still not planted as we hit the 2v2. Searson finds the nade frag, but Tizian up close, sweating bullets.
Yugi has 2
also
bullets.
Firing them. Oh, he continues, but Snappy's gonna survive. Yugi down, and Snappy takes the trade frag. A chaotic scenario unfolding there on the B bomb site. Like you said, Yugi finding those kills, but then running out of ammunition. Luckily, he had a teammate by his side to close it out, and Heroic bounced back with the force buy.
You can't even make jokes anymore like that, can you? Like, if they can convert the round. Well, they can't.
Oh, they can't.
This is a bit awkward now, isn't it? No, we're going to see the Deegs. Do I even need to say that they could probably still pull this one back? Searson is going to be saving. Now, I just want to point out now, clearly they have made that adaptation after yesterday when they didn't start using an AWP, but he is, well, unless he just really wants nades or wants a pistol in the next round, he's clearly saving for that weapon. Lovely shot from Tizian as Yugi comes jumping out through the smoke. There's actually 4 players on this A site. Another one from Tizian. Takes down Nico as well, doing a hell of a lot of damage. We will eventually see the trade, but a lot of damage being done, and Searson gets one of his own. This is very, very scary now, Modi. Only on 3 HP. Snappy, you've got a lot of work to do, my friend.
Still fighting from the middle of the open. He's going to be able to find 1 headshot, but very much offering himself to be taken down from alternate aTTaX. Now, all of a sudden, the round slows down. There have been 3 frags given each way. Damage dealt significantly to 3 of the 4 remaining players. Crisby's on full health with armor on top of it. And once he pushes forward towards ramp, if he so chooses, he could easily get his hands on that AK. Interesting play from Heroic, though. They're going to split one player out towards the T apartments, who will now come down underpass to possibly split back into the A bomb site. But because they've taken all this time, Alternate are now looking for information. Snappy's heard this, though. He knows that the man was up close and personal, and Crisby's going to fall all the way back to CT spawn. Nearly caught mid-transition. He now toppled as Snappy opens the A bomb site wide. It's going to be on the shoulders of Searson for the clutch, and he's going to rotate himself to the CT spawn as Snappy plants in the open. Maudie is not in a position for this after plant, though, so if Snappy dies, suddenly things get interesting.
Snappy can't peek here. Trying to just bait out the time. Obviously, his teammate has actually rotated in, and he's going to get spotted. Very low on HP, but so is Searson himself, and it looks like he's just going to back out of this round. Doesn't have the time, doesn't want to try and risk it with a 10-second defuse. So he's just going to have to fade away and save the AK. A very, very close round. Eventually, Heroic do manage to capitalize and win.
Yeah, that was a really cool mid-round call for them. I mean, I think trying to force the fights over towards the A bomb site is obviously what costs them 3 of their lives. A very expensive round here for Heroic, so alternate attacks can't be all too upset that they ultimately end up losing. But that mid-round call to split up their players is really, really smart because it allows for them to come back into the bomb site from 2 separate directions, one of which undermines the last known position of those counter-terrorists. And additionally, when it takes so much time to put that play into the map, well, suddenly the counter-terrorists have already considered it's maybe a B-bomb site hit, alternate attacks rotate their players away, and then Heroic are able to just sneak their way back into the victory. So really cool round to watch from Heroic. They get their feet back underneath them and will have a huge advantage in the 4th. Alternate attacks will have Searson off of Kevlar and an AK, but other than a Deagle and a P250, it's absolutely nothing. And Searson's the first to die, so really not the start they wanted.
Crispy, however, will be able to trade one back, doing a little bit of damage at least, but the aim punch will get the better of him. And, well, now it's all down to Tizian with the P250. I would hope from this scenario there wouldn't be too much he can do. Just going to go jumping out. And, well, Nico will be there to finish him off. So at least they're going to convert these rounds after winning the second. But here comes the CT side. Now, is Searson going to go for that AWP? I feel like he has to, otherwise all the money he's just saved up would be somewhat wasted. Still seeming like he's deciding, but he will. He's going to pick up the AWP. There isn't one on the other side to challenge as of yet. I do expect to see that a little bit later in the game, and I feel like Yugi could have actually picked one up in this round, so may just be that he already had an AK in his hand and just decided to keep it.
Yeah, I think that the T side of Mirage is one of those sides that you don't necessarily need an op presence, right? That's why alternate attacks, had they been on the T side, could have gotten around Yugi if he's playing that window jungle position for a CT half, but AKs make sense this time around as they entry onto the B bomb site. Yugi's able to find that trade frag. Ostrich takes the first. Now, Crisby's here to support from the market, but Nico drops him with a headshot. Yugi clearing the site as well, leaves this all onto Tizian. Searson rotating forward with that AWP, but now he's found all on his lonesome. Only 1 kill here to the name of alternate attacks, a very successful B-site split. Heroic just overwhelming the defense, finding themselves the frags, and honestly, at a very little cost. They've lost Maudie in the engagement, and Valde loses his life, or health rather, but other than the utility expenditure, it's really a clean sweep. Searson hangs on to the AWP, but that's a very shallow silver lining in this consideration. Heroic will find the 4-1 score.
Yeah, I think the other reason why you don't pick up an AWP if you're rushing B, don't really need that in play. So I think if someone calls the strategy, so yeah, you probably don't need that in play. Searson just about going to get away with this. Yugi going to go running around the corner. He has 3 HP. I wasn't even sure if he died there. That was so close. Behind this AWP, well, I expect to see maybe some pistols. I kind of hope they don't force behind this. I've seen teams do it, but no, we're not going to see anything crazy.
It's one of those weird situations where it's like the AWP almost forces your hand into buying, where you know that if you didn't have the op, it would be just, you know, deagles and a smoke grenade, so to speak. So it's cool to see alternate attacks not necessarily take the gamble. Searson can still find some impact as he does go middle early in the round, but nothing is found here as there's 4 players for Heroic out towards that A site, where unfortunately for alternate attacks, their defense is weakest. Tizian's going to have the deagle up close, though, tries to find the headshot, but Maudie is going to overwhelm him. Nico actually grabs the frag, and Valde finds the second, plus the third. Immediately, alternate attacks have given up the A-bomb site for absolutely free.
Yeah, good luck, Oscar. At this point, he's got plenty of players around him. He has managed to do a little bit of damage before with the P250, getting 2 kills while trying to hide over on Nuke. But it's not going to happen this time in a flawless round. Only, I think, 1 or 2 points of damage taken total from Heroic, building up a hell of a lot of cash. And there will be another buy. Actually, Crispy going to be picking up the AWP this time. Now, that's quite interesting. I wonder if this is just more a positional play rather than actually him going to go for the peek on mid. We'll see. Obviously, I'm sure all of these players are competent with the AWP. It's just whether or not they can match up. And this time, Yugi does have it in play. But he's actually going to be going over towards the B side.
Yeah, I like this. You were just saying, of course, how like you don't need it if you're going for that fast B play, but here's the alternative. It's when you put the AWP up front and you just wait for exactly that. The jumping counter terrorist who's looking for information. You try to give him more than he's asking for with a bullet to the head, but in this case, Yugi misses the shot, disengages, and falls back into safety of the upper underpass. Now, meanwhile, over towards the A site, Tizian's doing work. Searson was lost early on in the round, but it's traded back to the advantage of alternate attacks. Both Valde and Made swept under the rug. The bomb, however, for Heroic still feeling its way out towards the A site, while 2 players for Heroic are over towards B. So we could see a fake play kind of pieced together here, hoping that alternate will rotate preemptively. And if that is the case, then who knows what happens. But nade expenditure over towards A will keep alternate locked in on this side of the map as well. Their defense split 2-2.
Yeah, I like this. As well. Actually, Nico going to be the last one in, so he might as well be throwing those nades over towards the other site. CFN going to be up close and personal. He will be able to trade, which is good enough at the moment, but he just needs to stay alive on this site, and it's not going to happen. Nico will start, tries to hit one while falling. Not going to be the case, and it's going to be this trade. Now, will Yugi expect another player to be coming from short? That's the big question. The likelihood is no. Oh, actually walks across. Oh, we're going to see this peak coming out. Tizian needs to hit this, and actually, he's not going to connect. Does a little bit of damage, but not anything too crazy. And now Yugi has the idea, knows where his opponent's going to be. With him pushing around to the bomb, it's all going to come down to this just mind games. Both players rotating around, and Yugi will win this. That was a misplay. It has to be said from Tizian. He had all the information, and Yugi was none the wiser up until he shot him.
What's crazy too is that Tizian actually lets him cross with the bomb, right? It would have been a chance to shoot, but he has the trigger discipline, and I almost said, nice trigger discipline from Tizian. Watch him take the easy frag until he just absolutely misses, and that's unfortunate because he hit it through the lip of the metal, so damage was dealt, but not significantly enough to drop the frag. So yet again, Yugi leading the charge here for the side of Heroic, 10-3, his current scoreline, 6-1 for the teams themselves. Alternate attacks early on, go for that Palace aggression. They will find themselves 0 information other than the fact that it's open wide. But this could bolster some false confidence, seeing as Madi is just outside of the ramp with support from middle. We could see a very fast rotation into an A split for the T side. And Crisby inside of jungle is going to be sectioned off here. The smoke's beginning to dissipate. Snappy within the upper window, though. This could be a solid pinch. The smoke comes over the wall. Valde leading the charge here into jungle, takes the duel, finds the frag. And so there's a lot of pressure here on Searson to ultimately lurk out from Palace once the terrorists push the bomb.
And at the moment, well, I feel like Searson's going to be the only way that they're going to win this round, unless Tizian could do something while pushing back in from CT. The flash is going to come out. He does get one, but it's going to be quickly traded. Now, this is where Searson feels like he should pounce. Going to catch the first, look for the second onto the bomb as well. Does the damage. In the meantime, he has lost another teammate. Oscar is going to be rotating in and actually finds one more. And now it's all on to Snappy. Now he knows roughly where both his opponents are. Oscar going to be waiting around the corner, but doesn't know where he's coming from. Now he's going to miss the shots, but rectifies it. Now Searson back into the 1 versus 1. Again, both players knowing where their opponent is, or at least in the case of Searson, because he's actually moved. Oh, Snappy, he's not going to check. Oh, he's still going to win the duel. What? What did Searson just do?
Missed.
Yeah, but he, like, fell off the box. Did he run out of ammo?
I think the mag was half empty from the previous frag, and that maybe, I don't know. Because he would have had time to reload as he dropped out Palace. The moment that Oskarish dies in CT spawn, Searson has time to reload. I don't know if he was out of ammunition, seeing as he is playing off of the A1S and had found 2 frags earlier on in the round. But either way, I mean, oh, what a heartbreak of a situation, because he has the drop on him, even connects the shot, but he's unable to grab the headshot of all things. And so it is Heroic who find themselves the 7th round. These clutch scenarios that have gone the way of Heroic could have so easily been flopped the other way. Crisby inside of Connector this round's already flashed up as he watches players push their way up the catwalk. He cannot stop them, so it is going to be pressure on ECFN, who is then pinched out from Palace. Madi takes 2, clears them out, and now it's all on Tizian, rotating forward with the Mag 7. Searson on the M4 by his side, but the bomb's been planted into the 5v2. This is just Heroic all over alternate aTTaX, and only in a few rounds by the skin of their teeth, so it's not as though it's been all too convincing, despite the scoreline arguing otherwise.
Well, yeah, that's 2 rounds pretty much back-to-back that have been thrown away. It can't be put any other way. Both times they had the advantage in positioning, and both times they throw them. And that is just a horrible position to be in, because that has got to be the most demotivating factor in the world. Like, obviously you know you're close, but I feel like being very, very close to winning rounds and then losing them is so much more painful than a round like this where they've just been absolutely decimated.
Yeah, and it's one thing when you're in a 1 versus 1 and you lose it because of, say, just a heads-up play from the other player. But in both of those situations, alternate aTTaX had the advantage. They had a drop on an unsuspecting player from Heroic, and neither time were they able to grab the frag. So of all the 1v1s to lose and to ultimately be tilted from, those are the worst. So alternate aTTaX, mentally speaking, like, this has just got to be such a deflating experience. They're lucky enough to be back into the gun round, but even that is limited in the sense that they have the double ump mag 7. No op to dual off versus Yugi. And ultimately, a weaker nades for multiple players. Valde completely blind as well. Hits the headshot onto Tizian, who tries to force the issue into Palace and takes one to the dome instead. So another bit of a frustrating experience here for alternate aTTaX as they're going to try to hold the A site. Heroic splitting in from both ramp and middle.
Crispy will be able to get one, and ECFN has got another. The spray from Valde, though. Just taken this site so early on, and well, look who it is yet again. Searson. Can he finally win one of these clutches? He's completely blind at the moment. Smoke going to go through. He will find the first onto Valde, but Yugi is there to trade once more. Again, another close round. But the problem is, there's so much money on the T side. It makes absolutely no difference. And we're seeing force after force after force from alternate aTTaX. It's 9-1. They're going to have another buyer that has Famises in the mix. At least they've got that AWP back onto Searson. This is just so far out of control.
Yeah, I mean, that's the perfect way to describe it, Tom. It's out of control. Alternate aTTaX are just banging their head against the wall at this point, just trying to force, trying to get around on the board. They need something convincing. They need a really big individual play to kind of get themselves pumped up from what has been Heroic consistently just overwhelming them. I mean, Heroic, you can see, they're just trying to push into a bomb site using numbers advantage. Crisby and Tizian are going to drop out too, but Valde finds the trade frag. Crisby still standing, though, will find himself another. So here is alternate aTTaX in a position where they have the advantage. Of course, one of their players was tagged, Searson, as he tries to peek wide for the op pick, but with a minute 18, we had seen Heroic disengaged from these scenarios before. However, they don't have the bomb, so that's a key component to take into consideration. Meanwhile, alternate not forcing the fight from CT spawn means they're going to get their hands on it, and at this point, Heroic will be more than happy to just plant the bomb and try to win a 2 versus 3 after plant. Despite them possibly losing this one, as long as they deal more damage, they are going to continue to be in the driving seat.
The big problem as well, the CTs, they don't have a kit, so they've got to make their move relatively quickly. Do have a couple of smokes, however, so they should be utilized just to basically get rid of any angles that can be held. Now, of course, Yugi's just going to go pushing straight through this smoke. The one flashbang will be used well, but already we're going to see the first. But the bomb being tapped means that Yugi does have to make his move. He's actually going to get the first kill as well. Going to go around. He doesn't quite win the round, but he's going to do so much damage. You wanted it to be costly. Well, this is more than costly. That's everyone dead.
I mean, this is ultimately just going to leave alternate aTTaX in another force buy. Despite winning the round, they're back under the double FAMAS. They're going to have nades here to play off of, but this time, actually, nobody buys a kit. The only reason they win that round is because Tizian dies on the site with the kit. You said it, as the retake begun, they had that 10-second defuse, but they were lucky enough to pick one up. They will not have that option this time around if it comes down to it. So, alternate aTTaX, they win a round, but in the absolute worst fashion possible. They lose everyone and everything. Luckily for them, they get the front foot started here as they find that opening frag. A kill out towards the B bomb site where ECFN now holds the line. Oskarish by his side. Heroic, 4 players still up, but make that 3. Crisby contests for mid.
Interestingly, this time, all the aggression that they've actually thrown into the round has worked out. I'm going to mention the fact that they didn't manage to save the AWP, so I thought mid control would be a little bit more difficult, but the way that they pushed has worked wonderfully so far. Not a whole lot of utility left, and we've already mentioned they don't have a kit. So in later round scenarios, they may be in trouble. 2 players currently on this B site, already Crispy rotating in. This is going to be the push, and they've still got Valde to try and find them these entry kills. Oscar blind in the corner, but he hasn't been spotted. Eventually, he will actually be able to get one more kill. Obviously, the trade game is all but important. Valde will be able to do a little bit of extra damage. Now, it's all onto Nico, and he's not going to achieve anything.
So finally, alternate attacks get themselves around where they win and also survive. 3 players up at the end of that one. Going to move the double AK M4 here into the next round, so they will be able to drop their teammates with some ease, allowing, of course, for an absolute full buy. This is alternate's attack opportunity to still have themselves a decent enough CT half. I mean, Heroic 9 rounds on the T side, they're already looking hot and heavy. But alternate attacks can also switch over. The half is a clean slate, and they too can find this momentum if they get their feet underneath them. Again, we saw a very kind of, deflated first half on Nuke just before it goes to the distance. So anything is in the realm of possibility as Valde and Tizian trade frags back and forth towards Palace. A 4v4 ensues, and Heroic still split 2-2 towards each bomb site. Means, of course, they could go for that fast underpass rotation, try to take the A site by storm, where Tizian is currently pushed up into Palace. So we had seen a similar round earlier on where we had that anchor from alternate just sitting inside of Palace and then coming out wide from the doorway once the players from the T side were on the site itself. So again, a great spot for him to play off of here if Heroic decides to split into A, especially now that Crispy's been able to rotate to CT spawn.
Go for a little bit of a boost. So they have cleared the angle onto short and can make their way up connected. They're going to throw the Molotov so that nobody can actually get into the site. The only real player, again, is going to be Tizian up in Palace. I think they know that he's there. That's the only problem with his position. Should be ready and waiting for it. They are going to go for this plant. He's unable to find anything. Crispy, however, will catch Snappy as he pushes into that CT spawn. Flashbang will come out. Still just want to watch Tizian to see what he can actually do. Actually going to go flanking. That's the question. Oh, they're going all the way around the map to get back to the plant spot to try and fight it from short. There's nobody at that angle at the moment. It's a long rotation for Yugi to take, but he does have the AWP. In the meantime, though, there's that flank. It finally comes in. Tizian has been waiting up there for a little while now. I think they just forgot about him after the amount of time it's been. Now, can Yugi stop this bomb? I don't think he can. Surely not. He actually takes 3 down, but again, it's not quite enough. He goes for the shot onto the bomb. Will he get taken down? No, he won't. Again, doing so much damage, but it's actually 3 rounds in a row now for alternate attacks.
Yeah, they're getting their rounds on the board, which at this point is all they needed, right? They had already started off in a very bad half, so despite the fashion of which they're winning, at least they've got something to play with. They just need to get to the 15th round with a decent enough scoreline. Again, that clean slate is what they're hoping for at this point, because Heroic are certainly still in control of this game. Unfortunately for Yugi there, he ends up hitting all of the targets other than the bomb diffuser, so the round does still go the way of aTTaX, but, I mean, great marksmanship from him. That was just a peak after peak and consistent fragging. This time, a wall of smokes, an armada of nades flying over the wall here from Heroic as they attempt to execute forward. CT side already pushing into T-spawn, but Yugi's behind Searson, so he grabs that flank, and it's shut down. Tizian gonna grab a frag. Crispy does the same onto the bomb planter of all people, leaving Heroic in a 3 versus 2. They'll reacquire the device and attempt to punch the numbers in, but here comes ECFN, and he denies it once more.
This is going to leave the bomb in a position where Oscar can actually refrag. Guess who's back? It's just Yugi versus 2. Took down 3 last time. This time the numbers are a little bit more in his favor. Position not so much. He does actually manage to retrieve the bomb. Just going to try and find an individual duel before he actually goes for the plant. He doesn't know where the secondary player is. That's the only problem. Interesting smoke thrown out there by the CT side. I don't really know how that benefits them at all. I suppose he can't spot them, but he can just take the bomb and move away. And in fact, I think he's trying to fake them out. Trying to make them think that he's actually gone towards that B site. Going to be throwing out a Molotov and then probably going to go for the plant. Not really any way that they can push back in at this moment in time. So he will get that down. And now it's going to be down to Yugi to actually defend this.
18 and 5. He'd be sitting on 20 frags if he can pick both of these up. as well as the time working in his favor here as the CTs push on forward. Oskarish is going to round the corner, and he actually gets hit through the edge of the box there. Down to 54, Yugi grabs the first, finds himself into cover, but not nearly enough of an angle for him to hide in, so ECFN will find the headshot, the defuse, in a 5th round for alternate attacks. But my god, yet again, made incredibly close. Crazy to think that of the 5 rounds alternate have here, 3 of them come off of defuses. Very, very close. This game could already be very much more lopsided. Heroic could easily be up in 12 at this point, so... alternate attacks, they're surviving. Again, they just need to get to the halftime.
I'm more interested in the fact that in the 3 defuses, twice there was only 1 player alive, and once there was no players alive. Those rounds literally couldn't be any closer if they had tried. But the thing is now, they're actually getting themselves back to a position where it is workable over on that T side. They've won 4 rounds in a row.
Yeah.
The way they've done it is absolute insanity, and they still don't have a better buy, even though they've won 4 rounds in a row, which is also nutty in itself. But it does mean that if they can get back to 6, well, win the pistol, and they're on an even scoreline again.
What is nice about the CT's half here from alternate at the very least. Oh, hold on. ECFN's gonna get pressured. He grabs 1, 2, nearly 3. Deals some damage onto Nico, but Nico comes out on top. Oskarish able to finish off that frag to the 4v2. We go. Alternate gonna lose the player behind the bench though. Valde gets him through it. Crisby closing the distance, pushes up into the faces of his opponents who have yet to plant the bomb. But as they go for the tap, Crisby tries to push and Valde reads it like a book. So a 2 versus 2 ensues. Tizian to the back of the marketplace, Searson by his side. Both players for Heroic here on the site as well. Valde not trying to take the plant, but instead he takes the frag. Bomb's gonna go down though. Madi knowing where Tizian is. Tizian peeks out and he'll clean it up. Alternate attacks, able to find the 6th. Right. Tom, these rounds were so chaotic.
3. I'm looking for rounds with 1 or less players alive. So let's go from the beginning. Round 2, 1 player. Then we got another one here. That's 2 rounds, 3 rounds, 4 rounds, 5 rounds, 6 rounds, 7 rounds, 8 rounds total of the first half where 1 player survived from like either one team or both. That's absolutely ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
With that in mind, like, how can we really say Heroic have been that convincing in then? I think that earlier on in the half, when they got that giant splurge of victories, that's when they were really in the driving seat. But we actually saw a change up in Alternate's defense. They were giving up A-site a little bit too easily, and I think Heroic were beginning to exploit that through both middle and ramp. But we saw towards the end of the half where Searson was being very aggressive inside of Palace, getting that position forward and then locking it down for the later retake. So that was fun to see. Meanwhile, this pistol round, of course, Heroic on the CT side, already at the man disadvantage as alternate attacks take the middle control, and Tizian rips Madi's head clean off. 4v2 and a bomb plant coming your way. Snappy at least drops 1 more man.
Oh. Yugi actually make a footstep there. They're going to be... Oh, they're right next to each other! Yugi just about gets it. That's actually going to put it back to... the 2 versus 2. They don't have a kit, so they've got to make their move relatively quickly, and they're going to play this one together. Both players pushing him from CT. Now, Tizian still has a dig. The closer they get to him, the less effective he becomes. More likely to miss himself those shots. But it is ECFN. Finds the first. Again, it's this man here. Back in another 1v1. Can he get one of these done? Just going to get close. He knows the Deagle can't do it. It's Yugi yet again, and even finds a kill on the way. 3 kills in the pistol. This game is just stupid now. How many 1v1s?
It's incredible. I mean, Yugi, this guy is not only sitting on 22 frags, but he only has 7 deaths. The least on the entirety of the server and 3 less than the second least, which would be Snappy on 10. He is finding impact at the beginning, in the middle, and at the later portions of rounds, as we've seen him clutch multiple. And even in the rounds that he doesn't win, Tom, think of the one inside of Connector where he still gets 4 op frags despite losing it. So, I mean, crazy amounts of impact from the newest pickup for Heroic. This kid has been unleashed in this series. And you said, of course, that there was some growing pains yesterday or previously, and this is just a whole new game for him.
He's been up and down. The first match, it was him challenging, and then the next match, didn't really see too much of him on Nuke. I think, as said, he only had about 8 frags. Yesterday didn't really perform. Today, well, it looks like somebody's flicked the switch. Like, they brought him in, they sort of put him together, and then realized they put his arms on the wrong way round, and then just plugged it back in, and he's now the best player in the server again. Just insanity. Obviously, We were just seeing a bit of a save round coming in from the T side. We know that they're going to be picking up the rifles into this one, and they're up against the meta buy. 4 UMPs, 1 rifle. The 1 rifle is on the hard carry himself, Mr. Yugi. And we will see whether or not that's going to be enough, or if this is just going to be a bonus round they lose, and then they buy back up in the next anyway.
Not too many nades here for alternate attacks to play off of, but a decent amount of enough to at least grab early mid control. Meanwhile, Heroic push up into Palace, and that's going to cost them. Madi found out from Oscarish, who smells blood in the water and continues to sniff out for another frag. Valde is here, up close, and he tries to find the trade. He'll grab it. The headshot taken back. So a 4v4 now for the Heroic side, turned 4v3 as Nico chimes in with a frag to his name. So alternate attacks, they came out of the gate swinging, but now it is they on the back foot as they do continue to creep their way in middle. They have run out of smoke grenades to section off the elbow of Catwalk. They're not going to be able to either smoke connector or window. So the utility that alternate attacks had coming into this round was enough to work with. Unfortunately for them, as they expend it, they're not able to execute forward. Again, because of the fighting that occurred over towards Palace that drew them back. Now they only have flashbangs, which might not be enough. We will see as they poise themselves to hit the A site, where, of course, Heroic stand.
Yeah, they've already pushed all the way through apps. That's a big problem. So they're not going to expect anybody over in this position of B, so they've already got 3-pronged defense. 1 man holding the rotation as well, but Valde, he's going to use this ump where it is at its best. Push aggressive, find the bomb. Now it's all down to Searson, and while Nico with his found AK is just going to take the head clean off. Not looking like a good position for alternate attacks at the moment. They can't really do much in this round either. It's just going to be those pistols. We did see them pull out a couple of crazy rounds over on the other side of things in Nuke, but see if they can do it again.
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of, trying to build up alternate attacks in the sense that they were putting together enough of a CT half to bring things back in the T side, but losing the pistol and consequently the 2 conversions is pretty dire straits now for alternate attacks to play back from. So that chance they had, that little smidgen of hope, may have already been dealt with from Heroic, especially in this round as they have already found 4 frags. Oscarish out towards the A site, trying to peek wide into the crosshairs of Madi. He goes, and then he is dead. Heroic sitting on that 13 round, looking for 14, 7 points of a lead as alternate attacks buy back into the AK. Still no op to play with. Meanwhile, Yugi's got his hand on the trusty cannon.
Yeah, this is where things may just go from bad to worse if they can't get rid of this guy. It's actually going to be going over to the B side at the moment. I'm interested to see how they're actually going to play this. This is very aggressive. Look at Valde again. He did this on Nuke. It didn't work out too well. Let's see if he can actually something a little better on Mirage. The flash is going to go out. It's actually going to... Oh, I hate those moments. You could see that Nico couldn't really shoot, or Valde couldn't shoot because his teammate's head was in the way. Decides to wait, and instead both players die. Tizian gets the lineup. Now it's into a 3 versus 5. The T's with a great opportunity.
Ooh, great kill from Searson, though. At least going to keep things open here towards connector. So this is going to buy time for the bomb to rotate over all the way through long. Into the T-spawn, out the ramp, and into the A site is the course they have planned for themselves. But Yugi looking to be a thorn in their side from the CT spawn. Of course, he gets this angle before anybody actually arrives. So now he's going to peek out even wider. This is a very confident stance for him to be taking. ECFN going to round the corner. Madi's dropped out. Searson, though, traded back by Crisby. So it's all down to Yugi, and they've already spotted him. As long as they don't give him an angle to work from, he would be fine. And he nearly catches Oscarish, but Oscarish will grab the headshot. A frag to his name, and a round for alternate attacks.
Back on the board, but are they back in the game? That's the real question at this moment in time. We are going to see the buyback up from the CT side, building up a nice amount of economy off the back of that, well, I suppose bonus round win with all those UMPs. AWP will be back onto Yugi again. We'll be heading over towards this B site, so clearly just looking to be the mantle in this position. I wonder how aggressive he's going to go. Not going to be able to hit the shot. It does mean that Nico's challenging mid with the rifle, but has managed to do quite a lot of early damage onto Searson as well. Okay, Yugi. Okay. Nothing can stop this man at the moment. Connector push is, however, coming in. They have to be careful. Now, there is actually a man in the smoke. Valde not able to capitalize, but now will pick up 2 kills. He makes up for the fact that his teammate just died. It will be only 2 men trying to fight this one back. Now, the reset may not quite be in for the T side. They have a little bit of money to spare, but it's going to be very difficult to fight back from. However, it's not done yet. Oscarish will find one. It's quickly traded by the man himself. Leaves it just with 1 man, the Pole among the Germans, to try and find himself 3 kills.
He is creeping his way towards CT spawn, though. Valde yet to peek out, seeing as he is only on a 1/5 of his health. Now, Yugi's still to the corner of the back of Ticket, and Oscarish so damn close, but he doesn't spot him out. Now, Snappy's over towards the corner in Tetris as well, so there's just so many positions being held by Heroic, and they didn't want to show themselves until they had confirmation as to what or where Oscarish was, so they see him, they kill him, and they do get themselves onto the 14th round. So Heroic bouncing back at a hard reset versus the 1T round from alternate attacks is most certainly what they were trying to avoid, but now they have to deal with it. It has been forced upon them. Alternate attacks buying back in once more. Double AK, and some Tech 9s to try and make this magic happen, but Heroic at this point with Yugi sitting 25-8, Valde 26-13. He's really turned things around since his performance on Nuke. So despite Modi being only on 7 frags, they don't even need him to carry his weight. More than 50 kills between the 2 top fraggers. Nico's going to take the first one in this round. Ekfin trades it back, but Yugi yet again finding frags, as does Valde. Crispy and Oscarish both standing as they try to barrel into the A site. The first one shut out. The second will ensue. Tries to take the duel, but it's to his demise. Valde cleans up shop. 15 points on the board.
Yeah, and this is the worst case scenario as well for alternate attacks, because they go for that force in the last round off the back of the small loss bonus they had. Now they only have 1,900 in their bank account plus any cash they had to try and fight things back. And are we going to get all 5? We are going to get all 5. All 5 Deagles. See if they can make anything work versus what I'm guessing will be the AWP in window. Yep, Yugi going to go for this early peek. It's going to be a push, but look at this angle being held by Modi. Right positioning. Quite the right execution.
If Yugi picks up 1 more frag in this round, I believe he's already broken than 60 in this series, which is astronomical. Ekfin at the bottom of Underpass, going to be the first one under the rug. Valde finds himself a frag as well here, so alternate attacks crumbling piece by piece. Crispy, the next one to drop here as Valde grabs an additional headshot. It is all down to Tizian. He is being aggressed upon, and Valde closes this one out. The series done and dusted, as are alternate attacks.
Yeah, and well, I'm wondering how quick is Starladder going to be? Are they going to be on point? I have to question, because I don't update these. Are they going to... Oh, it's not quite done yet. It's not quite done. They haven't updated the groups, or do I need a refresh? I might need a refresh. Let's put a little bit more faith. Is it going to be updated now? It is. Heroic go top of the group. They have now taken themselves up onto 6 points. Now, obviously, it can get very interesting with the way that things have gone. Vega are still yet to play against alternate attacks. That will be the last game in this group. Obviously, we still have Group D, which I'm looking forward to. We got Spirit, we got Space Soldiers, LDLC, and QB Fire in that group. But that is actually it for tonight. So, thank you for joining me, Scrawny. I think you've had a little bit of a short stay because of the quickness of that final map.
Thanks, Heroic.
A little bit ruined by just the sheer dominance there from Heroic. But it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I'm sure we'll get you back at some point later. But for now, that is today done and dusted, and I think we may actually have a day off tomorrow from the Starladder games, so we may see you, I think, on Monday. Anyway, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure, and, well, I'll let Scrawny do the outro, as he's not going to be here for a few days at least.
Well, then I guess it's just a big thank you, not only to you, Tom, for having me today, but to Starladder as well for giving us these entertaining matches and the opportunity to bring you guys some hot games. Yugi, absolutely impressive stuff tonight. Again, over 60 frags within the series and a convincing 2-0 for Heroic as they top the group. So this, of course, was the Starladder I Series Season 3 qualifier, and we'll see you guys next time. I was Scrawny, joined by Tom.